people you want in your tribe are the ones that show up. The others that don't show up, you don't want in your tribe.
Right.
And that is something I've always kept in the back of my mind now. You know what? If you're not reciprocating and you're not helping me and I don't feel like it's a beneficial like relationship, then you're not in my tribe and you're not the person I need in my tribe. Or just not you're a bad person. We're just not the right tribe mates.
Yeah. Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a podcast about taking your business seriously, but not yourself. So my hot take this week is all about the Oscars, which I did not watch, unfortunately. So this is just secondary information from the World Wide Web. But Oppenheimer is what all the rage is about. They won big. They had 13 nominations and they won 7. But I think we can all agree that Ryan Gosling is the real winner because he stole the show with his performance of I'm Just Ken. What I love so much about him is he is just like 100% comfortable with making a fool out of himself. He like really doesn't give a shit what anyone thinks of him, and I just love that. So go Ryan. I thought it was really cute. I saw a clip of John Krasinski pulling Emily Blunt in for a kiss when she won for, I think she won for Best Supporting Actress, maybe? It doesn't matter. And then at the very end, I guess very end of the show, everyone was sort of like confused because Al Pacino came up to give the winner of the Best Picture award, and he didn't read any of the nominations. He just was, and here it is, Oppenheimer. But it was also the very end of the show. So I don't know. It was sort of like uneventful, but then I guess like they had already won 7 times, so I don't think it was a big shock. And now I'm gonna have to go see that movie because I never did go see it. I only saw Barbie that weekend instead of that one. So, and I want to say that they re-released it into theaters because it was doing so well. Now, I did go see another movie last night. So instead of watching the Oscars, I went to the actual movies and I saw Cabrini. This movie was so amazing. Like, it was Mother Francesca Xavier Cabrini. She was a real badass. She didn't take any shits from anyone, not the mayor of New York, not the Archbishop, and certainly not the Pope. Okay, because she basically told him what she was going to do. And then he was like, yes, I approve. But she was going to go anyway, you know? So I implore you to go watch this movie, whether or not you're Catholic, Christian, or believe in any of that sort of stuff. Like, it's just a great movie. It's empowering, it's inspiring, and I sure as hell felt like I was unstoppable when I walked out of that theater last night. So that's my hot take. On this week's episode of Seriously Catherine, I am joined by my friend Riham LaRussa. After 2 decades working in corporate America, Riham went out on a limb and acquired Small Packages, which is a e-commerce company. Riham is the daughter of immigrants, a mom of 2 little girls, and we are so excited to have her here to tell us about her journey into entrepreneurship and how she's juggling all the things. Let's jump right in. Hi, Riham.
Hey, Catherine.
Thanks so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
I don't know why we haven't done this yet. You should have been like the very first guest.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about you, and I want you to recount like the first time we met. Do you remember?
Yeah, I'll start with a little bit about me. I grew up in Columbus, Ohio, even though I was born in New York City, and I felt like I was always destined to come back to New York. I'm a child of immigrant parents, and I have 2 young girls. You know, I'm on the softball board, even though I'm trying to remove myself because I am at capacity. And I met you right before the original Palette co-working space opened up.
Yeah, because you joined as a founding member, so I couldn't remember if you came to one of the open houses, but when did you sort of come to us?
So I was at a place called The Hub, and I had like my own office and everything because I worked remotely. When I left New York City, I stayed with my company and came up here. So I worked remotely. I had my own office space, and I was so excited because I wanted to meet people, right? So I thought going to a co-work space, I would meet people, but everyone kept their doors shut all the time. So I never met anybody, and it was really lonely. And, you know, I was playing on Instagram, and I saw like a thing about Palette and, you know, like unlimited coffee, unlimited wine, meet people, like a community of women. And I was just like, this is what I need. This is what I want. So I scheduled an appointment to come. I met you. You were so pregnant. And I was just like, how is this lady still going? When I was that pregnant, I was just like, I'm staying home. Nobody's asking me to do anything. Like, I am just relaxing, feet up, milking the end of it for as long as I could.
Yeah, it's funny because I was like reflecting actually over the weekend. I was doing like this exercise, and it's called like a lifeline exercise, where you chart out like the highs, the lows, and the big impacts of your life and how they sort of like land on this chart. Mm-hmm. And I have babies and start businesses. That's like, it's a thing. It's a pattern that I've recognized now.
From what I know of you, that sounds right on point.
Yeah. So you joined as an employee for a business, right? You were working remotely, so you sort of just joined because you needed co-working, you needed a place to sit, an office, but you got much more than that, I believe.
I wanted to come and meet people. For me, I moved to Saratoga. I didn't really know anybody, and when your kids aren't in school yet and you work full-time, it's really hard to meet other parents. So for me, I was really excited to come and meet people, and now I always tell people 50% of my friends are from Palette, and the other 50% are my children's parents.
Yeah.
I got a lot more out of that.
That's awesome.
Got a business too.
Right. Yeah. So tell us about that. A nice segue. So I don't think, again, this is in my perspective, I don't think you saw it coming. I think you were sort of like thinking about maybe moving jobs, and like you were looking for advancement in your career, and you weren't getting what you felt you wanted or deserved, or.
Yeah. So where I was, I felt like I was really stagnant. I was doing the same thing for years and years and just wasn't happy anymore. So I was looking for a new job. I was interviewing with I think 4 or 5 different companies. I'd get to round 4 or 5, one company, round 6 interview. They would just be like, oh, we're going on a hiring freeze, or we're reorganizing right now. One company I truly appreciate, they just said, you're too expensive. We love you. We'd love to have you, but we can't afford you. So I was like, thank you for the honest feedback. It made me feel good. Like, they want me, but they know they can't afford me, and they weren't going to try and nickel and dime me.
I think it's so much more valuable, and I appreciate just a straight up no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hate having to wait around and have to follow up a million times. Mm-hmm. And it's like, it doesn't have to be awkward. Just say you don't want to do it, or you're not interested, or no. It's a full sentence.
Exactly.
And an answer is so much more valuable than this wiggy-woggy limbo.
Yeah, because one company, they were like, we'll get back to you in about 30 days. And, I'd wait 6 weeks, and then I would touch base. Oh, we need more time. The one that really, I think, pushed me over the edge was a company where I knew the people that worked there. I had worked with them previously for years, so I had a good relationship with them. Interviewing, and they're like, yep, we're going to have a job offer for you on Monday. Monday came and went, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I was like, hey, what's going on? That's me texting. So you're like, hey, what's going on? They're like, oh my gosh, we're not ignoring you. And I was like, you are, but that's okay. Just tell me what's going on. Like, give me a couple more days. I'm going to call you back. So I was really depressed about that because I felt I have all these skills. I have a lot of knowledge, and I have a lot to bring to the table. And it's really hard when you have to go somewhere new and you reprove yourself. So I felt good about this one place because people already knew me.
Yeah.
So I didn't have to start from scratch. I was going to develop my own department. So I was putting together a business plan for the first time in my life. And Marcella was helping me a little bit. So I think you guys knew about my struggles with all of this that was going on. And, I would hear, oh, this all sounds great, whatever. And we'll get back to you. And then I wouldn't hear it'd be crickets. So I was really depressed because I couldn't understand why for over 6 months with all these interviews and getting so far, nothing was working out. And then you just happened to let me know about some company called Small Packages. And you're like, hey, you should check this out. Because at my last place, I did head up the e-commerce section, division of the company. So you thought it would be a good opportunity for me. And I was like, who buys a company, Didn't ever really think it was a possibility or could be a reality for me. But, I said, what the heck? I'll have a conversation or two with the previous owners. And next thing you know,
a couple
weeks later, I was buying my own company. And
I love it.
Yeah.
Well, I was like a couple of things. Like, it wasn't working out because it wasn't meant to be, you know? Like, you are an entrepreneur. You're such a badass and you should be your own boss. I truly believe this. So, like, of course no one's going to hire you because that's just, like, not where you were supposed to be planted. And
I agree.
I think it hit right at the same moment. You were feeling frustrated. You were feeling like that job seeker fatigue. And it's like, it sucks because it's like, you know you're awesome. You know what you're capable of. And you just need someone to sort of take a chance on you. But it's like, F them. I'll just take a chance on myself, right?
That's exactly how I felt. Like, it was just like, you know what? Like, why am I waiting around for other people to, like, start believing in me again, when, like, the company I'd been with, it was like 10 years I had been with them, and they were finally coming up with a new plan for a new position for me. And I was like, but I've been asking for this for years. But I always tell people the funniest thing is so the company that I've been waiting for that, like, I knew the people. My last day of work at my last job was December 31st. And they called me on December 31st because they were ready to offer me a job finally. And I was like, I left. And then I found out about a month later that a bunch of women resigned, that the company got bought out, and a bunch of women resigned because of things that were happening in the company. So it was really like God, your higher power, spirituality, whatever. The world was looking out for me. Like, do not put yourself in that position. And it was like this huge sigh of relief. Like, okay, I did make the right move. It was good that I didn't then say, like, let me do my, small packages as a side gig and go in, like the other job.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. So Small Packages was a company that I invested in as an SPV. It's like a very, very, very small check. And I kind of did that just because I wanted to learn more about investing and I wanted to network with other people who were doing that sort of thing. So that's sort of how it came about. About a year after I participated in that round, the founders contacted me and they were like, listen, we want to move into this like sort of tech software direction, and we want to offload the e-commerce piece. And do you know of anybody that might be interested? And at first I was like, I want to figure out how I can buy this because I'm obsessed with the company. It's an amazing resource for me. I live I like 1,500 miles away from family and friends, and my friends are having babies, and things are happening, and death in the family, all that sort of stuff that happens. And it's like I can't physically be there, but I could send a curated package that's very thoughtful with a handwritten note, and I loved it. I mean, it was like I was sending stuff all the time.
You see the need for it, why people would use it.
Right, exactly. So I was kind of shocked when, not shocked that you took the call and considered it. Originally, I was just like, I want to give Riham a little, perspective, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there are other alternatives. There are other ways about going about getting happy, right? Because you are pretty miserable.
I was so miserable.
Yeah. And then next week, you were like, I'm buying it. I'm like, what? What?
I always look back and I don't think I would have moved as quickly if I wasn't so miserable where I was. I still believe I would have moved forward, but I moved forward very quickly. I still can't believe it. I couldn't believe that I was doing it. I also kind of was in my head, I always thought when, you buy a company, it's a lot of money. And I'm not saying it's cheap, but it wasn't, millions of dollars, like a corporate buyout. In my head, that's what you hear about on the news. You don't hear about the small companies that sell and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And you didn't have to take out a second mortgage on your house.
No.
And it was doable, right? You felt like, okay, I can do this. I think meeting them, right, the founders and talking to them, you're like, okay, I can do this.
I felt like it was a good foundation that they had set up. Based on being from a minority family and a child of immigrants, I see the struggle of other minorities and how they make it. My dad fought tooth and nail to be where he is in life now. And I feel like that American dream isn't as attainable to a lot of people anymore. And I felt like this was a way to be able to also help others, run a company that I believe in and loved, but also do something that I've always wanted to do, helping minorities, whether it be women, indigenous people, Black people, AAPI, LGBTQ+, whatever your minority group is. It was just a nice way that I could help elevate them.
Yeah, make an impact.
Yes.
That's awesome. And I'm so excited too because so this is another thing that sort of happened when you were like, okay, I'm going to buy this. I was like, oh my God, oh shit, I was nervous, because I was like, oh my God, if this doesn't work, I feel so responsible for like a bad decision. I'm like, what am I thinking going around empowering women and getting them to buy businesses? But that was just like, to be honest, I just felt like, oh my God, this is like sort of what happens at Palette though. Like you surround yourself with people who are taking risk and failing, right? Like I've fucking failed openly in front of people, like, and I still just move forward and still do it. And I think just seeing that and being around that makes it attainable for you too.
Well, you'd been encouraging me to quit my job for a while. I will never forget the day that you met Dave for the first time at the softball fields, and you're like, just let her quit her job. Just like let her quit, like whatever. And Dave was like, she's crazy. But it was one of those things where you say these things, but you let people know, just jump, like take a leap. Like what's the worst that can happen? The worst thing that could happen is it fails. We're in a good enough financial position that like we could take this risk. It fails. Guess what? I pick myself up and I go through that tedious part of like looking for a new job again.
Yeah.
I knew that I would be able to find a job if I needed to, and all the skills that I would gain from this as well.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a lot of moments of regret, like, like, oh my God, what did I do? Why did I do this? Yeah. Like, this was so stupid. You were safe. You had like this and that. And now, no, like, it's a different kind of stress that I have and like fear, but it's not this like anxiety of, oh, I don't want to go to work tomorrow. I just hate what I do. I'm so unhappy. Like that dread is gone.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And your girls, going for it. I mean, have you seen a shift in, their attitudes or their moods just to kind of see you have something, right? Like not that you didn't have something before, but it's like this company is yours.
Taking a big risk. So I feel like Liliana's still young because, she was 6. She's now 7, like when it's been all happening. But with Olivia, I've noticed a different, like a little bit of more of an entrepreneur spirit in her. I've had to shoot down some of her ideas. My favorite is she wanted to sell soap on Etsy because she researched that soap was one of the best-selling things on Etsy. And I said, okay, you don't know how to make soap. She goes, well, we'll go to Target, we'll buy bars of soap, I'll mash it down, reshape it, and sell it. I was like, who's buying this soap? She's like, well, you guys are. I was like, oh, so we're going to invest in your company by doing this. I said, I love where your head's at and you're trying to be creative, but that's not a good idea. Nobody wants to buy mashed down soap reshaped into a star or a heart.
Yeah, but she's onto something about like the rebranding or relabeling and
she did her research on
awesome.
good. So I do notice a shift in her already.
That's
with
so
that
exciting.
Kind of stuff. It's exciting and scary.
Well, but also it's like we're girl moms. And we're dealing with girl shit and the snobbiness and the cattiness. And I went through that. I like 3rd, 4th, 5th. This is another thing I sort of like reflected on over the weekend. Like 3rd, 4th, 5th grade sucked. Girls were so mean. I went to an all-girls school and they were just like, it just sucked. It was horrible. I would come home crying every day. Anyway, that builds character and I'm awesome for it, right? But
it's not something that you want somebody to go through.
I don't know how I would cope if Posey came home crying every day. I don't know how I'd cope. Or just if Posey came home feeling inadequate or ugly or any of that stuff. So we talked about this. We brought our girls to this preteen beauty care thing, skincare thing at Complexions. And I loved it. I was like, this is amazing. I appreciated the girls being educated, right? And learning about how to take care of their skin and what to do, what not to do.
Right.
And like dispelling some of the myths that they're seeing on social media. And they don't need any of that shit.
No, they don't need 99% of the stuff that they're being marketed to. And I always tell people, I'm like, I don't know how it's getting down to them because my children are not on social media. Like if they're on YouTube, it's to learn how to build something, right? Or Olivia likes to look at hacks, life hacks, like because she needs life hacks.
I love that.
I don't know. She was telling me one morning, she was like, well, I can't remember the YouTuber's name. We'll call her Jeannie. Well, Jeannie makes breakfast this way. And I'm like, who the hell is Jeannie? And she's like, oh, she's a YouTuber, Mom. I'm like, oh, dear God. But at least that's what you're watching. You want to make a new breakfast. But yeah, it just trickles down. And so many of the girls in her class and at her school and her grade, like the amount of skincare that they have is ridiculous. And it makes me sad because they believe that's where their beauty comes from or that they need that, where it's like, no, you just need to wash your face and moisturize and take care of yourself. And yeah, maybe you might need an extra thing or two. But it was great to go to that event. And they were so patient.
It was cool. It was cool. So speaking of preteens, are you going to do a teen box or like a preteen kid teen? Should we talk about that?
Yeah. So
I really think it'd be so cool.
Yeah.
I think it's like, so again, we live away from all of our family. And I just think like, how cool would it be for my girls to get like a subscription sort of box from an aunt or a family member? I don't know.
Right.
This is what I'm thinking. But this is your company, so you do you. But
no, but I like the idea. So like you did bring up the idea. You sent me something like you should do like a subscription box. And we talked about, we had like the perfect models and like testers for all this. So we started it. We're like creating what it will be. It's not going to start off as a subscription because I'm just at capacity with like other things, that we're going to test it with like a one-time thing, see how it goes. And I always laugh because, I was like, I know what these girls want and like, and I like put all these things on like this board to like save. And, I have an intern right now. She's a senior at Saratoga High School. And she was like, well, I don't know about this. And I was like, no. I know. I have a 10-year-old. This is good. I am officially not cool. Okay. So, yeah, we're just finalizing a couple things. I think we want to do it in a couple of different color schemes.
Mm-hmm. Cool.
Yeah.
I love that.
So,
and then Mother's Day is coming up. I'm sure that's a big, big day for you.
That's one of our biggest behind Christmas.
And Valentine's Day?
I feel like Mother's Day always does better.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Okay, I want to talk about what you keep on saying, like you want to help minorities, you want to help women-owned businesses, or, but you're actually like on paper not a minority.
Yeah.
This blew my mind when you told me this, because I was thinking like you should be able to go get minority women-owned business certified through New York State, and you could probably get, there are grants and all this kind of stuff, and you were like, actually, no, I wouldn't qualify. And I was like, what?
So, I feel like ever since I've had to like fill out a census, I was told I had to check the box for white. And I never really, or Caucasian, and I never really understood that because technically I'm not white. I've got olive brown complexion skin. I'm Palestinian. People consider Arabs like not white, right? So when I finally owned my own business, I was like, I'm going to look into why am I not a minority? I did a little research, and it turns out like in the early 1900s, when people from the Middle East are coming over to America, people who are already here that are considered white, like from Europe and everything, didn't want them to be considered white. But people from the Middle East said, well, if we're not white, then Jesus can't be white. So it kind of dispels your whole like Jesus is white, blue eyes, blonde hair. People didn't like that. They didn't want Jesus to not be considered white. So they made people from the Middle East and North Africa white.
This blows my ever-loving mind.
It blew my mind, too, because they don't want to treat us as white people. However, we need to be considered white just to keep a certain group of people satisfied.
And comfortable.
Yes.
Yeah, and then you're missing out on all these opportunities where you could get grants and funding.
Yep. But, it is what it is. That's okay. You're like, okay, again, I'm at capacity. I don't have time and the energy to write petitions and go fight Congress and, whatever for this, as much as I would love to. Just not me. So, I have to find other ways to be creative and everything. So one of the things, we're redoing our Women in Food box, which is really exciting. And it's all for like women in food from the Middle East and North Africa. So we've got like things from like Lebanon and like some Palestinians and some Egyptians. I think we've got something from Morocco as well, like all going in there. So I'm really excited about that.
When is that?
So hopefully everything should be in the next 2 weeks. So probably by April 1st.
Wait, so this is like your office and your warehouse is at Pallet now.
Yep.
So will we get to sample any of this stuff?
I think so. Yes. Maybe we'll do another pop-up or something, and we'll have like a sample. Like I wanted to do right before Mother's Day, like some kind of pop-up thing where people could like try the products. Because when we did it the last time, I know it was during the day. I was like, I expected it to be mostly palette people. But the feedback I got was seeing it in person really helped me like understand what the product is and what I was buying. So I thought maybe we'll do something else like that too.
Yeah. So tell us what else you want to talk about. And this is the actual box, and you would get this in the mail if you were a receiver of one. And it comes with a handwritten card, and it's like all these goodies that apply to like a topic. I like the Something Awful box, and that's like the main one that I like to send out.
There's something awful in that our self-care boxes are like, the most popular. Everybody wants to give somebody a little piece of self-care. So, we've got like really affordable options. We're going to add a couple of more. We're also adding in some more men's stuff in there. We have our everything but the whiskey, which also is very much for women as well, but people just hear whiskey, scotch, bourbon, like men. So, it's going under the men's section, but so many women like that too. We have our tough guy box. So like just things for like men and men's self-care and other things too. So it's not just geared towards women, because a lot of feedback I also got was, well, I want to get this for my boyfriend or like for my boss who's a male, but there's not really many options for him besides, a coffee mug and whatever. So we're trying to like add a few more of those products into.
Cool. And then you can also just shop whatever you want. Like if you do get, so if, for example, if you get a box, if you get the food at Women in Food box, it may have something that you can't get from like your local grocery store. So then you can go back on smallpackages.co and buy the one item.
Yeah. So we have, we have our curated box where we've already curated it. But if like you're buying some of the Women in Food box and you're like, oh, but this person really like they're gluten-free, so they can't have this.
Yeah.
So you can build it yourself. And add a different product in, or just not have all the products in there. So we've got already curated our Build-A-Box. And then, we have our marketplace now, which has been a lot more successful. I knew people would purchase from it, but it's been a lot more successful than I had anticipated, which I was so excited about. So,
That's awesome.
You can come back and you can buy like one-off products. Or if you're just like, listen, like I want to like wrap my own gift and write my own card. I don't know why, because that's like the one thing that like I hate doing. I love someone else to do it. And you can do that too. You can buy your like the one-off products and build your own thing at home too.
Yeah. No, I mean the handwritten note thing is so valuable to me. I love a handwritten note. I feel like I've said that before on the podcast. I love getting like mail. That's not a bill.
Right. I was going to say, like, the kids always say, like, oh, I can't wait to get mail. I remember being a child and being so excited about mail, but it was always like junk mail or bills. And my parents were like, you're not going to be excited about mail when you're an adult. And they're right. Well, I still get excited, but half of it goes in the garbage.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I like the holidays when you get all the Christmas cards and stuff, or holiday cards.
Yeah. See, this is where, people always get offended. But I'm like, if you celebrate Christmas and you say Merry Christmas to me, I'm okay with that, I'm not offended.
Yeah, but I'm not offended either, but people are.
Yeah, but I'm also not offended if you say Happy Holidays because you don't know what I celebrate. I'm okay with that, too.
Yeah.
I don't understand what the big deal is.
And what do you celebrate? You're Muslim, right?
Yeah, so I'm Muslim. So Ramadan is starting up March 10th. After Ramadan, we have Eid. And then I think... I'm not very good at this, but like I think 45 days or so many days after Ramadan ends is the pilgrimage to Mecca. And after that is a second Eid. So it's Eid al-Fitr and Eid al-Adha. So two big Eids.
And you can't eat a certain thing during that time?
During Ramadan, you fast from sunrise to sunset. So no food, no liquids, nothing. Unless like if you're sick, you can't do it. You're not expected to.
So do you just stay in bed all day?
No.
Are you starving?
First few days are really, really hard.
Wait, so for how many days?
It's about 30 days.
Wait a minute. So you're just eating late night?
In the morning if you get up and at night. And Olivia actually wants to try it this year.
Yeah, so how old do kids start to do it?
I think I started when I was like maybe 8. I don't really remember. But, like days that she has ski racing all day Saturday and Sunday, she's not going to do it. She's 10. But yeah, kids do it. And I think my parents may have incentivized her by saying, oh, for each day you fast, I'll give you XYZ, So she's like all about it.
Yeah.
She needs seed money for her
soap company.
Yeah.
So this is like so interesting how like some of these things just like cross over cultural, religion, like the same thing in the Catholic religion. It's like that guilt.
Yeah.
It's not it's not just Catholic guilt. Is it Muslim guilt also?
I think every religion has that guilt. And then like Day's family is Reformed Catholic. I don't know what it is anymore. So they do like our children celebrate Easter and Christmas and all the holidays.
That's awesome.
It gets expensive.
Yeah. So you've had small packages. Was it November 2022 that you bought that? So it's been
almost a year and a half.
Almost a year and a half.
Yep.
What would you say are like the biggest like challenges that you've had to face or overcome?
The biggest one is learning to do a lot on your own. It's kind of lonely where you don't always have like a partner in crime anymore. You don't have like another department that you can like push a task off on. Like, you have to figure it all out. And sometimes I just didn't want to figure it all out because I was just tired, or like I didn't know. And I don't even know how to explain it. Like I've really learned some things that I'm not good at. I'm not good at the financial part of it. Like, I am not good at that. That's never been my strong suit. It's still not my strong suit, but I'm getting a lot better. But I think the biggest challenge is like the loneliness and like having to make all the decisions. And if you made a wrong decision, like understanding like that's okay, because nobody does it perfectly the first time. Most people's first, second, third businesses fail, or like, they just give up. Just knowing like it's okay if it doesn't work out, and just reminding myself like you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. Like, don't beat yourself up. I think like one of the hardest times was in October. My whole cul-de-sac got lice. So,
oh my God, I remember this.
There's like 15 people in our cul-de-sac that have lice. And I always tell people like the biggest stressor in my life too is Dave's work schedule, because he works at the hospital and he does robotic surgery. So I don't know if he's coming home from work at 3 or 9 p.m. And so I just never know what I have to take on for the night. So he was working late. Me, Olivia, and Liliana all had lice. And then like the next week I was having knee surgery, and I was just like combing 3 hairs, like, morning and night, plus doing all the laundry, plus like then having knee surgery. And I thought then I had reached a breaking point where I was just going to give up. Just be like, screw it all. Like, I'm over it. I'm done. I can't do this. Like, I felt so defeated and tired. But then someone said, well, you just have decision fatigue. You've made too many decisions, and start new. Like so, I really had to like sit down and, I made some changes. I was paying a warehouse, and I realized with the cost, and like, I didn't want to make the product more expensive. I had to like move out so that I didn't have to raise my prices, but nothing else is changing. It's really hard to keep the same customers.
Yeah.
So I had to make really hard decisions, and that was probably the toughest challenge. But I'm really happy with like the decision I made, and I feel more in control of things and feel like things are on a better trajectory because I learned from all the mistakes I made last year.
Yeah. Yeah. You are absolutely incredible. We're witnessing you pivot and try this and that didn't work. You're testing things, you're trying new things, and not everyone gets that, They like want to set it and forget it.
Right.
And that's not what a small business is. And especially not one with e-commerce, and you're dealing with a lot of people and customer service
and like, a lot of overhead,
A lot of overhead. Yeah. I mean, it's just like, it's a lot. When you were like in that place where you're just like, oh, I'm done, Like, what actually did you just give yourself some time to take a rest?
Yeah, I kind of had to like take a deep breath, and like I kind of had to like shut it off. And I feel like I could have had a better holiday season had I not hit that breaking point. But I just had to turn it off for a few weeks and really just think about where I was before. Did I want to go back to working for somebody else? Or did I really believe in what I was doing? And could I make changes to make it work?
Yeah.
I really do believe in what I'm doing, and I actually enjoy it. And I didn't want to go back and work for somebody else. Like, I'm not ready to throw in the towel yet.
Yeah.
Will I have to throw in the towel later? Maybe, but I just didn't feel like the time was right. So I thought about different ways I could make some changes. I, reached out to some people. I got some interns helping me now, which has been great because one has taken on TikTok Shop because I cannot figure out TikTok. I don't want to figure out TikTok, but who better than a 20-something,
right?
early 20-something to do it. So,
yes.
Had to get creative with different things in that manner.
That's awesome. I mean, they also say, I think you learn sometimes the hard way.
Yep.
To hire your weaknesses, and like you don't actually have to be good at all this stuff. It's impossible to perfect everything. So hire your weaknesses, work on your strengths, and stay in your lane and collaborate and just keep going.
Yeah. And I've gotten really much better at networking. I hated networking events because I'm more of an introvert. It gets a little easier each time I go.
Yeah. And it's worth it. Worth it.
It really is. It really is. And like, one thing that I think also helps me keep going is I do have a much better group of supportive friends and like quote unquote coworkers, like I call people here my coworkers, than I ever have before. And I feel like that's always helped because I remember when I first moved here and I was like in therapy and I was really depressed because I didn't meet people. And I tried to like do this event through like the children's daycare for like the other moms, and like 2 people showed up out of like 40. And I was like so depressed. I was like, why doesn't anyone like me? You know, like at therapy. And she was just like, the people you want in your tribe are the ones that show up. The others that don't show up, you don't want in your tribe.
Right.
And that is something I've always kept in the back of my mind now. Like, I'm just like, you know what? If you're not reciprocating and you're not helping me and I don't feel like it's beneficial, like relationship, then you're not in my tribe and you're not the person I need in my tribe. Or just not you're a bad person. We're just not the right tribe mates. So I think that's what also like has really carried me through is having like a really good tribe now.
Yeah. So. Yeah. Support system. It's everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, this week from Saratoga Living After Hours, which you should totally subscribe to because it's where you're going to get all the best information and happenings and events going on in Saratoga Springs. You don't want to miss that sort of thing. For example, their next major awesome event, which is the Overdress to Impress event. This year, it's going to be at Panza's, which is on South Broadway. And Panza's is this like really cool retro restaurant. I'm hoping to see a lot of the attendees leaning into the theme of the restaurant because it's just like, it's so retro. You feel like you're walking back in time when you go eat there. So it is on April 10th at Panza's. The red carpet is from 6 to 6:45. The fashion show is at 7:45 and the party ends at 9 p.m. I mean, the party may end there at 9 p.m. But when you're dressed and overdressed to impress, you got to go out on the town. So I suggest going to get some champagne at Bocage afterwards. Zach, who is one of the owners of Bocage, is the MC for the event, which is, if you've met Zach, you should probably just buy a ticket to this event because he is such a fun guy to listen to, and he also gives no shit, so he's gonna like tell it like it is. So the red carpet grand entrance interviews are going to be hosted by Heidi Rotter, and she is the host of American Dream. So these interviews are going to be aired on television on the American Dream TV show. That's exciting. And then all photos and video will be posted in next issue of Saratoga Living, which is awesome. It's always awesome to see yourself in the magazine. It's always sort of special. Like you flip the pages, you're like, oh my God, there I am. Just so you know, if you did already buy a ticket or you're about to buy a ticket, take note of the categories, okay? There are 4 different categories we have. Most elegant, sparkle and shine, most overdressed, and then best overall. Oh my God. How do you choose one? I feel like sparkle and shine is probably the one I would choose because I have a lot of sparkle already in my closet, but this is an opportunity to go buy some new clothes or rent from, I'm currently an avid supporter of Armoire, which is a rental service. And if you're a Palette member, you get free access to this service. So you should think about joining Palette. But it is so much fun to rent clothes and sort of, a lot of times you're only going to wear it one time. This year, there will also be a glam bar so you can get touch-ups to your hair and makeup before you go down the runway, and also prizes. Those have not been announced yet, but I'm sure they're going to be epic. So go get your tickets because this is not an event you want to miss and it will sell out. Okay, facepalm mom moment of the weekend was Posey, my oldest daughter. She's 9. She is in 4th grade and she auditioned for the drama club months ago. And I remember being a nervous wreck for her because not that she's not confident, but she is more shy than the other 2 sisters. So I was worried. I was like concerned about her. But anyway, she got a couple of speaking lines in the show. And I was so excited to go see her perform on Friday night. And then on Saturday night, I worked the door. Like I was like collecting tickets and selling tickets and all that sort of stuff, which in itself is quite the feat. I'm not volunteering for that role next year. I can tell you that much because you're not allowed to let anybody in before 6:30, even if it is raining, and even if most of the people coming to the show are elderly grandparents who I felt horrible leaving out in the rain. But that's besides the point. I am officially a drama mama because I had so much fun watching Posey perform. She was so confident and loving it and having so much fun. She nailed all of her lines. The whole production was just way above expectation than what I had for a bunch of 4th and 5th graders. I'm blown away. I think these are future stars on Broadway, future stars receiving awards at the Oscars. I'm all in. And then icing on the cake was the cast party at the end on Saturday night after the show. Everyone packed themselves into the cafeteria. All the cafeteria tables were moved to the side. There were disco lights. There were laser light show. There was a DJ Dan, who I cannot speak highly enough of. And it was a full-on dance party. And they played Taylor Swift. I might have been on the dance floor. I may have gotten some side eyes from other parents who were like, okay, this isn't about you. But if there's a dance floor, I'm on it. I mean, I guess I sort of just like was living my best life. And now I feel obligated to plan. I'm giving myself a year to plan. But a 5th grade mixer for my kid and all of her friends, like at the school, selling tickets. I mean, it was just so much fun. And I feel pretty confident that once you get to that middle school, like 6th, 7th, 8th, you're already like, ooh, boys, oh, I'm nervous. I don't want to go dance with him. But that's not how it is. They were all dancing. It's like they were just living their best lives. And I was so fascinated by it. So just like stay tuned, because I'm going to put on this epic musical dance party at her school in the cafeteria, if they'll let me. I mean, I don't know why they wouldn't let me. It would be so much fun. She had a big weekend. It was a lot of energy. That is my facepalm mom moment, although it was a happy one. And yeah, I'm a drama mama. Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you want to connect with me, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Catherine Hover.